Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of NathanTeaV. Today I will be teaching you how to make matcha. So, got my new laptop for college, so I am now mobile. First thing you're going to need, obviously, is your matcha. As you can see, it's a bright green powder. The matcha is actually green tea leaves that are ground, usually using stone. It's basically pulverized into a very, very fine powder. Think kind of like powdered sugar, but even a little more fine than that. So you have your matcha, you have your chawan, which means tea bowl. Cha meaning tea, wan meaning bowl. You have your chasin, which is your tea whisk. This is just a chasin holder. Not necessary, but it is helpful. So these are the three things that you are required to have to make matcha. Also, you have a chashaku, which is a teaspoon, or like a tea scoop. If you don't have this, you can just use an ordinary teaspoon. And then also, less necessary than that is a tea strainer, although it is helpful. So let's go ahead and make some matcha. First thing you're going to do is you're going to want to preheat the bowl, or the chawan, and you're going to want to use water that's between 157 and 165 degrees Fahrenheit. If you can kind of control your water temperature, that's good. If not, just let it boil or whatever, get close to boiling and let it sit for about 5 minutes and you should be good to go. So the first thing you're going to do is you're just going to put some water in. You don't want to fill up the whole bowl. And this is going to be very, very informal, extremely casual. There is an actual ceremony that the Japanese do to make matcha, usually performed by a geisha. But I'm not a geisha. I have not studied matcha making or the Japanese tea ceremony. So this is just going to be a very practical way to make matcha, not in any way formal. So what you want to do is you want to kind of warm up your whisk. While you're preheating your bowl, you want to get your whisk kind of a little hydrated. So you just want to swirl it around a bit, do a little bit of whisking. Just let the water drip off and set it back down. Then you're going to pour out your water. Now some people, especially in the tea ceremony, what they would do is they would dry out their bowl. It's not necessary. Since we're trying to keep this as practical and as hassle-free as possible, we're just going to go ahead and leave it wet. It's just a little damp. The screen is beginning to get black. So you're going to take your matcha. And you're going to want to do 2 scoops with a chashaku. Sorry, the dryer's going crazy in the other room. If you don't have a chashaku and you only have a teaspoon, you're going to do about half a teaspoon to 3/4. I would say if it's your first, or if you haven't made a whole lot of matcha, if you're not experienced, I would stay closer to the half a teaspoon because if you do add too much, it can get bitter. So we're gonna go ahead and put it in a strainer. This just helps you whisk it later on. It's not necessary, but it does help keep clumps from forming. So what you'd normally do is you'd shake it back and forth, but that takes forever. So I'm just gonna go ahead and poke it through here, just kind of scrape it through with the chashaku, or tea scoop. You can use your teaspoon for this as well. Like I said, this isn't necessary, but it just makes it much, much easier to whisk. It ensures you don't get lumps, and that lumps can ruin a good cup of matcha. All right. Now the interesting part. You're gonna pour your water on top. You really don't want that much water. Maybe about 2 ounces. So that's about good. Maybe a little more. That's really about all you're going to want to add. Now, with your chasin or your tea whisk, most Westerners would think you just stir it like this and you're good to go, but matcha actually has a thick layer of foam on top, sort of like a cappuccino. And you achieve that by, you want to hold your bowl down and you whisk it back and forth in kind of a W pattern, like this. If you do this, it won't do it. You have to go back and forth very fast, And you don't want to scrape the bottom of like that. You want to leave it about just off the bottom. You do it very quickly. And as you can see, foam is starting to form. I personally like a lot of foam. And a little more. There we go. Another thing when you're doing this, you want to make sure you're not going like this. Kind of like do it sort of like you're writing with a pencil or a pen. Another thing, this is just a fun fact. If you're making matcha for a guest, you do not want large bubbles because it's considered rude. And so you would take your chasen along the very top layer. You want this maybe an eighth of an inch, or if you're metric, couple millimeters, maybe 5 millimeters just on top, and whisk, and that helps get rid of all of those bubbles. And there you go. That's a nice practical way of making matcha. And if you have any questions, comment, do any other posting you would like, private message, whatever, thumbs it up if you'd like. Hope you learned a bit, and go out and try some matcha. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on another episode of NathanTeaV. And missed the stop button again.